How many of you have had a problem? You're in the middle of a project, and this one's a two-sided project. You can see I flip it over, and so I need to put in dowel holes here. And I've never been really consistent at the dowel holes and bringing them from one project to the other. I have the same problem with magnets, or I get different size dowels, or I have different size magnets that I purchased that are supposed to be half-inch magnets or half-inch dowels or 3/8-inch dowels, etc. And the setting is important for how tight they are. For example, these dowels are set to be 0.429 inches, not 0.5. Same thing with magnets. So I was getting frustrated, so I decided to build myself a magnet storyboard, dowel storyboard, so to speak, that I could always reach for whenever I'm getting a new project and not have to figure out what file I previously used that size dowel or magnet in. All I did was create holes at different sizes to accommodate potentially different size holes. This one's normally for a half-inch dowel, which never is a half-inch. So I start with, let's say, 0.425, and it's really too tight of a fit. Then I come 0.426, still too tight. Bottom line is, and you can fit it into 0.428, but it's tight. So 0.429 is probably the right size of a hole I'll put in my software. And same thing, this is a 1/4-inch dowel. The actual setting is closer to 2.53 or 2.54. Probably 2.54 is a good fitting. The next one is the magnets. I have a couple magnets. They're supposed to be half-inch, but when I put in a half-inch hole, let's look, here's a half-inch hole. Way too loose, so that's not going to work. So my holes I actually drill are somewhere between 0.48 and 0.49. That's a little better fit. Here's 0.47. That's too tight. So 0.48 is the size of hole I want for that magnet, and this is at 0.09 deep from experimentation before. I have other magnets of this size, but you have to drill them a little deeper, and you can use that same size. Works pretty good, 0.48. You can tell that right away when it's standing proud. And here's a magnet that is supposed to be, what, about 1/3 of an inch. And we find out that 0.33 is a good setting for that. 0.34 is too much, so 0.33 is the right setting, and it's 0.138 deep. That's simple. I hope this gives one or two of you some ideas on maybe creating your own little storyboard, I like to call them, magnetic dowel storyboard. I find it frustrating when I have some new dowels or some new magnets and I'm not quite sure what size to create the diameter hole or how deep in the case of magnets. And this storyboard that I created and just keep next to the CNC will help me do a real quick check by taking the actual dowel or magnet and fitting it in there when I'm designing the project.